Hello everybody, welcome to my studio. My name is Lonna. I am an acrylic artist and most of my designs are painted in the decorative painting technique, so that's what we're going to be doing today. Let's take a look at what we're painting. This is a fun design, really relaxing to do, and you can do this design on any shape. It does not have to be this shape like I have done here. It can be a round, rectangle, oval, whatever kind of shape you want to do. You can do this same beautiful painting on any size or shape surface. You can grab a packet for this on my website, lonnalamb.com. The packet includes full written step-by-step instructions, color step-by-step photos, a full color photo, and the line drawing for this, as well as a list of every single supply and paint color that I used to create this beautiful design. I will be using Deco Art Americana acrylic paints, and if you have not yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, I hope you'll hit that button, and if at any point you are enjoying this video, please give me a thumbs up, and please share my video if you really enjoy it. I so appreciate every single one of you. So let's grab our paints and supplies and let's get painting. Alright, so this surface that I'm painting on is one of my surfaces that I used to sell. Just my curved heart surface. If people are interested in the surface, I can contact Pinecraft and make sure that they put it on their website, because they have all of my cutouts, my patterns for my cutouts, and I just need to know when people want this particular surface, and I can say, hey, I've got people wanting this surface, can you please put that up on your website? So with this surface, I have just, it's a wood surface, so I have applied two coats, can't get my words out, 2 coats of multi-purpose sealer with a damp sponge, okay? And then I rolled on 2 coats of Snow White with my damp roller. Now I could use my roller as well to apply the medium on here, the multi-purpose sealer as well. Just I had that sponge laying here when I started it, so I just used it, and then I got my roller to finish the white out on here. Okay, so the only lines that are really required on here right now is our horizon line inside of our heart, and then this is our water line here. Okay, out here we're going to paint all of this after we paint in the center. So painting in the center is what we're going to do first. So I'm first going to go ahead and put a coat down here on my sand and get it drying. I'm going to take my cocoa, as soon as I shake it up good, and I'm going to paint in just my sand area here with some cocoa. This is probably going to end up being much darker than I want my sand to be. We'll see. But again, it may not. And you don't have to be perfect about your edge here. A matter of fact, it's probably good if you go into it a little bit. That way we don't have to be so exact when we come back to paint everything that's going to be going in around that. Okay, so just get a loose coat in here. It's okay if it comes out past. You know, first coats are messy and all that stuff, so we can bring it up into the water just a little bit. That way we've already got it started into that area. Okay, our sky here, we're going to start with a little bit of some gold color at the horizon line down here. I think we're going to start from the bottom and work our way up to the top of the heart. Okay, so I've laid out some colors here that I think I may use in the sky. I've got golden straw, bright yellow, wild orchid, lavender, cinnamon drop, and ultra blue deep, and of course Snow White. I'm going to tape off my horizon line here. because we're going to start down there at the very bottom of this horizon line. Now I want kind of some hill stuff going on in the distance, so I'm going to take my cocoa and my golden color and start a rough putting in of some hills or something back in here. I don't know, it's all, you know, this is all background stuff. So just, you can go over into that side area, that's fine. And then maybe a little bit thinner area over here. And we'll have a separation maybe in between them so that they're not meeting. I think I might bring this one up a little bit more. Okay, that looks pretty good. All right, I want to put, I think, well, I thought about putting my clouds in before I started painting, but my first layer, I think I won't do that, but I'm going to get a small round brush here and kind of put where I want my sun to be. I want it to be somewhere, maybe just a little bit lower, close to the horizon here. I'm just going to paint a white circle so that I can remember where that white circle needs to be, where my sun is going to be, right there. And then we're just going to start with some of that bright yellow. Just a bright yellow and maybe just a tiny little bit of that golden straw. And we're going to start putting a layer in our sky. And let me mix up a little wash of this. Let's do 2 bright yellow and 1 golden straw. We'll see how this looks. It's a little dark. I don't want it to be that dark, so I want to take some of that paint out of there. I'm going to go up to my sun, down below it, kind of around it, and then across this way. Very kind of sheer color here. Okay, I'm going to go into a tiny little bit of red. Not washing my brush here. Oh, but I'm flinging it across my... I need more water here. Maybe not quite that much water. I don't want this red to be overpowering is my problem. So I want it to be thinned down, but not so much that it fades away. Alright, we're going to put a little red in here. Maybe take a tiny little bit of blue into that and put some of this blue over here. I think I need a much bigger brush for this sky. And then we're going to take a little bit more of the red and go up here at the top. Wipe off and kind of blend those. Definitely need a bigger brush. Yeah, we'll just kind of blend this out and down. Bigger brush. Get a bigger brush. Okay, so we've got to start to our sky there. It doesn't look like much now, but those are very transparent colors. Get a bigger brush. This is a 10 flat, so I'm going to go up to probably a 12 flat, even maybe a 1/2 inch. If you have a 1/2 inch size, something bigger so that we can layer more quickly and get the sky done a little bit more evenly. Right here, it's got too much of a line right there. So just take my water and kind of thin that down. Alright, so we've got to get this dry, and then we're going to come back and keep adding to the sky. Okay, I want to add some clouds in here before we go much further. On this side I want some dark red clouds because we're going to have reflections of red on all this side. Over here I want some very pale yellowish color with some red on it, maybe some dark red, maybe a little purple. It's going to be a combination. Then we'll work our way down, maybe doing some orange ones down here and some bright yellow ones here. So I'm going to take my cinnamon drop and a little bit of burnt umber and make a dark red. I'm going to tap most of that off on my brush. I'm just using a domed, like mop type brush. We're going to see how this works out for clouds. And I'm just going to come in here and start adding some cloud shapes in here. I'm going to go all the way out to my edge here, where my, put some up here. I'm going to grab a tiny drop of water. I don't want this to get too wet, but I do want to be able to move the paint a little bit more. Maybe just a couple little ones over here. And then I'm going to grab a little bit of yellow in the brush. Blend that, remove the paint, go down in here and add maybe some orangey colored red ones maybe. And we can kind of bring them up to meet this one as well. We still got some washes that we got to put in on top of this. I'm going to add a little tiny bit of white now to my brush. I have not cleaned my brush at all. And I want to put some clouds over here. A little bit more white in my brush. Make these a little bit lighter. I'm going to wipe out my brush now as much as I can onto a dry paper towel. I don't want to get all that moisture in there. I'm going to grab some yellow and maybe a little bit of this golden yellow. A little bit more yellow. I feel like I still have too much red in my brush here. And I'm going to put some of this over here. Really want to have mostly just yellow for some in the center around my sun. So I'm going to try and get as much of that out without going and washing my brush, and try and go for some yellow. Maybe a little bit of that gold in there. That'll make it a little bit more. I still don't feel like it's yellow enough. I may have to wash my brush. We do want varied colors here. Okay, so that's kind of our cloud stuff going on here. Might add a little bit of this yellow up here. You know, just kissing that one. Okay, I think that's going to be good for our clouds. So I'm going to wash my brush now. So we're going to get ready to add some more washes on top of what we've already painted here. Okay, let's add more washes in our sky. I think I'm going to start with my purple over here. So I'm going to take some of my lavender, maybe a little red, and a little ultra blue deep. That's really dark. And it is, I do want it kind of dark, but maybe not quite that dark. I do need that ultra blue in there. Okay, oh, I'm just going to go to a bigger brush. Bigger brush, bigger, bigger, bigger. This is a 12. Let's see how it works. Alright, I want this darker purple here. And then I'm going to grab some of that cinnamon drop. And a little bit of that purpley stuff. went darker up here. Let's blend those together. Take this cinnamon drop all the way across. And keep our paint wet so that I'm just going to keep dirty brushing here and mixing the same colors we used before. I'm trying to keep my colors, you know, where they're blending well. I don't want the previous ones that I put down to dry before I can get to the other colors, you know what I mean? Add a little tiny bit of white into that. I do want to kind of go over my sun just a little bit. Okay, I'm going to repaint my little hills so that they pop out. More golden straw in there. I'm going to wash over these with some red, I think. We're going to do some dry brushing for our sun. I do still want that to be much darker than it is. So I'm going to apply a third layer on our sky. Okay, I'm going to add another layer on here. But before I do, I need to probably brighten a few of my clouds up with some white. Mostly white. I'm going back to this mop brush, although I have rinsed it. I'm hoping it will still give me some texture like I want it. So I want to highlight a little bit there. Maybe a little over here on the bottoms. I don't know how much this will show up after we put in our next washy layer. But up here I want to keep them a little darker. I'm going to add a little lighter cloud in here, but when I wash over it, it will change to red, and this area will change to orange. But we're just creating a layer that will not be as dark as everything else once we add our washes back in here. Okay. This will just keep these areas just a little bit lighter than everything else. Hope that's making sense. All right, we'll let those dry. And then we'll come back with our washes here. I'm going to do one more wash in my sky. I want to make a little bit more of an orangey color on my my hills here. So I'm going to take some of my yellow and red. Get some more yellow out. My bright yellow. And mix a little bit of that cinnamon drop in there to make an orangey color. And we're going to put this, remove a little bit of that paint out of my brush, and we're just going to put this on here. And kind of let them look like they're getting a little bit of a glow. Okay, so now I'm going to take a angle load, just a side load of my yellow, and we're going to just put some yellow along this edge. I'm going to get yellow and a little bit of red. Maybe that red I just mixed. And make a little bit of an orangey color, and we'll put that next. More of that orangey color, so I'm going to mix more. So this is a lot less water this time, more paint, but it's still not opaque. It's still got some water in it, so we're still making transparent layers here. I'm going to go ahead and grab more of the red color. Now I'm using Cinnamon Drop, which is kind of a pinky color. So if you want something a little bit less pinky, then you can use some other color. And then over here I want to grab a little bit, oh, that's way too much, of lavender and Ultra Blue Deep into my dirty brush and put some of this purpley stuff right through here. Try and get some of that off my brush and blend it out. Okay, we do want our colors to kind of blend, so if they're not blending, like right here, they're not quite blending. A little bit of paint, a little bit of water, because that paint has not fully cured yet. I still want it to be much darker up there in that corner. I'm going to do some red with just a little bit of purple and kind of darken up through here. And then much darker over here on this edge. More red there. I don't want to have too much water in my brush, like right there. I feel like there's way too much because it's going to start lifting my paint underneath. That is not fully cured yet. Let me make another wash of this red stuff. I'm going to dry that so that I can put a darker wash up here with my red. I think my yellow looks pretty good. Still want to be able to see my clouds, so I'm trying not to, make it too dark. Okay, we kind of want to still be able to see where our lines go, but you see I went out way past all of my lines, and I think that's looking pretty good. I might have to darken a little bit on some of my clouds just to get them to pop back out. So this is my red with a little bit of ultramarine in it. Okay. My other clouds look pretty good still, but I will brighten them just a little. Make that kind of orangey mix here. If your wash has got a little bit too, okay, that was a lot. A little bit more red here. Not sure where I was making my wash at. here. Can do a little bit of some darker clouds. If this is just if you can't quite see your clouds, just add another little layer of something on there. Okay, then I'm going to go with my white and just a little bit of white on the underneaths of some of my clouds. Create just some little highlights on the bottom edges. Okay, maybe just a little bit up here. This will be very muted up there. This is like following the, the bottom shape of the cloud. So if you don't really have a shape on your clouds, this is a good way to get a little bit of shape on your clouds. And then I'm just going to take what's left in this white and kind of scumble it through the sky. Super easy way to make some clouds. All right. So that's looking pretty good for our sky. Except I have to brighten the sun. So first I'm going to dry brush some yellow around it, get a little bit of a glow, and then I'm going to do some white. So I'm going to start with a small little scruffy brush here. Okay, so this is a very small little scruffy type brush. So I'm going to take some of my yellow and white and mix that together on this little scruffy brush. This brush is not going to hold a lot of paint. And I'm going to brighten up a little bit more white in there around my sun with this white and yellow mix. I'm just going to keep adding a little bit more white in here. Creating that glow in the sky back there. And then I'm just going to paint my sun back in. When I feel like my glow is bright enough, I think I'll do white one more time. That's why I want to use this little brush, because it doesn't hold tons of paint. And I can remove quite a bit of it, and then I'm going to paint my sun in. And I want to very, very gently blur out the edge of this sun. Still keeping it a circle. I'm just touching that line around the edge where I made the circle and kind of softening it and making it disappear. Okay, so that is our sky. Seemed like a lot of steps, but it's such a small sky. Just getting it dry for each layer is going to be the key thing. And creating your clouds any color that will work within the colors that you have put in the sky. So now I'm going to remove my tape here. I do want to add a little bit of that white and yellow glow on my hills before I remove this tape. A little bit more yellow in there. I think it mostly needs to be just yellow. A little bit over here. Now I'm going to go back in that back edge back there and kind of shade that hill bit of just our yellow here. Kind of want to blend that out. I don't want to lose all of this hill color here. I feel like I'm losing it a little bit. Okay. Still need that to be just a tiny bit darker, separating these two hills. Alright, let me get that dry, and then I'm going to remove the tape, because when I start painting my water in, I don't want it to get into that wet paint. Okay, let's get the tape off of here so we can work on the water. Really, all this stuff in the middle of the heart should be the fastest to paint. The outside, we will work a little bit harder on it, okay? So for our water here, I am going to use my, let me get a clean piece of palette paper here. Okay, so let's apply a second layer on our sand here with our cocoa. Smooth that out. We're going to start working on our water now, so I want to tape up here, so we need to make sure that's dry. And then we're going to tape above, just slightly above this line. Okay, and we're going to start with our distant layer. We're going to start with some white. We're just going to paint some white on back through here. Okay, I'm going to pick up a little bit of open water on the corner of my brush and start putting that in here, just kind of roughly. We're working our way up to that sand. I want a little bit of that ultra blue deep. Maybe a tiny, tiny little bit of black in there with that to darken that blue. I still got all those other colors in my brush. I want to create some dark layers back here. And throughout my water, just using the angle of the corner of my brush is all I mix that on. Okay. Put that in there. I'm just going to wipe my brush because I don't want to have pure white at this point. And go into my white, and I'm going to blend that just a little bit with whatever paint is left in my brush. I do want to bring this up on the sand a little bit. Kind of follow that line that we kind of made there. I'm going to mix a little bit of the lighter blue in my brush. And I just barely skimmed it across there so I can still see a little bit of the sand on there, the sand color. Okay? Bring some of it over here. I want it to go past my okay, that's our first layer in there, okay? The water really should go incredibly fast here. Okay, we're going to add more white in the background back here. Back here at the horizon line. Remember, we still got our tape on back here, so we'll just paint along that tape there. And I want to brighten a little bit on the edge of the coming onto the sand. It doesn't have to be everywhere, just a little bit here and there. Put a little bit out in the water. Now, the one thing that I do want to do is put a little purple tint into the water. So I'm going to take that cinnamon drop, just a little bit of it. It's powerful. A little bit of Ultra Blue Deep, just a little bit. It's powerful. And make just this kind of lightish purplish blue color. Maybe, I don't know if I want to add open water to it. Let's see what that does to it. See if that will tone it down. Yeah, that open water tones it down a little bit. So I want to put some purple kind of in here in these darker areas that I created. And maybe a little bit through here. A bit more blue in that mix. So Ultra Blue Deep, a little bit of the red, and a tiny bit of open water. Okay, that's just some darker areas. Now for our kind of tealy color, this doesn't have to be super bright, so I'm going to mix a little bit of Ultra Blue Deep in it and put some of this in here. And then we'll finish with some white. We do have to shade underneath the sand, but I'm going to wait till my paint gets a little dry. We do want it bright white back here at this edge back here. We still got to put our sun glow coming onto this water. And then we want a few really light areas with white in here. This water is not super incredibly detailed, so don't get caught up in, you know, making it look super incredibly detailed, because we're not doing that. We're not detailing this water out. Okay, I think I'll go to a smaller brush and grab some burnt umber, so that I can shade underneath my water here. And I'm going to do burnt umber. It's kind of a transparent color, a little bit of Ultra Blue Deep. And I'm going to go underneath my water a little bit. You know, just find some places you want to create a little shadow underneath your sand. This is very sheer, very light. I'm going to take my burnt umber and go a little bit. Actually, I can do this after I paint my outer edges, so I'm not going to do that. But I do want to add a little lightness to my sand. I'm going to get some yellow. We want to create that glow on the sand, but first I want to add some little dots of sand speckles in here. So just use your detail brush and make some little, these should be not great big, just little. And touch them back with your finger, kind of. Okay, we'll add some white ones. Might mix some burnt umber in with that. No, I'm going to mix cocoa in with it. Cocoa and white. And make some light ones. These really need to be pretty small, so I'm going to have a glow coming across here in just a minute. I do want to kind of lighten up my sand a little bit. I think it could stand to be just a touch lighter. Down here it could be a little darker, so I think I'm going to take my cocoa and my burnt umber. Let's do a 1-to-1 mix. And I'm going to put this down here, make it a little darker down here. Just brush that across the bottom. And I'll kind of wash out my brush. And I'm going to grab, let's see if cocoa and white, if I can make this transparent enough to kind of lighten my sand a little bit. I don't have hardly any paint on my brush here. I'm really blending it into the brush so there's hardly any in there. It mixes with the water and there's hardly any in there. Let me go back to my cocoa and burnt umber. Make that a little bit darker down here. Okay, that looks better. So it's cocoa and burnt umber mixed here. I kind of did an equal mix, but use a little bit more burnt umber if you need to. And then up here, it's very, very lightly washed over with a mix of cocoa and white, an equal mix of that. So let's put a little glow of the sun on here. So I'm going to try just my straight yellow. Let me dry this real quick. Okay, let's finish our sand up before we do any yellow on here. I do want to remove the tape, if I can get the edge of it here. Because we're going to get ready to put our glow that comes from the sun all the way across the water onto the beach. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is take some yellow. I'm just using this small brush that I dry brushed with earlier. And I'm going to remove some of the paint off of it. And I want to create a highlight in my sand right through here. I want to start creating that. And then where it comes through here, but I'm going to add a little white to it because I don't want it to turn green in my water here. So we're going to have some glowy stuff coming from the water onto the sand here. This is just the yellow right here. Okay, so that's yellow on there. I'll clean out my brush a little bit and add some white. It's still got some yellow in there. So we're going to start our bright glow through the center here and onto the sand. Make sure your yellow is dry. Mine's not quite dry. I think I'm going to have to dry it a little bit. Okay, I'm going to take my flat brush now. I want to brighten my glow in the water here, and it's coming from our sun, so everything's going to be really bright down through the center. So I'm just going to paint some bright white down through the center and then go beside it. This is a back-to-back float here, and make it really bright right here on the sand. It's going to be super bright right here where it's hitting the sand. And then super bright coming down through the center here. I'm going to wash a little bit more yellow over this, I think. It definitely needs to be more yellowy out through here. So I'm going to put a little white on here first so that yellow will show up better. I've completely obliterated my highlight down through the center. Okay, I need some yellow on here, and then I think I'm going to have to let this set for a little bit because I'm a little struggling a little bit with this. Okay, just got to get that bright highlight right there on the sand. So right where that's hitting, right there. Let some of that come out the side, and then I'm going to put a little bit of white over here on this edge. I want it to be a little brighter over here. Okay, I think I'm going to leave it right there. Let that dry. I might add one more brightness right there on that section, and then we'll move on. Okay, my sunset part is done. I did come in and add a few little sparkles of white in there, and then when this was completely dry, I added a little bit, a side load of yellow just right through here. So we're going to work on all of the border now. So the border is basically going to be a bunch of stones. So I recommend you work with one color at a time. That way you can get the 2 layers on it and you don't get confused of where you left off. So our first color, we're going to use this kind of beigey color and just make some different size stones randomly all over your painting. And we're going over what we painted here I know we drew that line there, but that line was just kind of a guide. And we don't want to keep these perfectly shaped, so you can add a little white to this if you want it to be a little bit of a lighter color. I'm going to work my way around. And I want to get 2 coats on before I move to my next color. So I'm kind of having a hard time seeing my line here. Looks like it's right here. Alright, so that is 1 layer, so I'm going to go back over real quick with a second. And then we're just going to use assorted colors for stones. All around this, all different sizes. This might be a little bit of a small size to start out with, so we might want to go a little bit bigger. Okay, I'm going to move to my next color. This purple color, I'm going to add some white to it. Make a really light purple. Make a good little amount of it here. And then I'm going to start with this color for stones. Wherever you want them to be, okay? Whatever size you want your stones to be. All of your stones do not have to be the same size. It's probably better if you kind of vary the sizes. Because we're going to fill in all the way around this background. This border, I guess. Okay, so that was my first layer. What you want to do is quickly dry it and apply a second layer. Before I add my second layer, I'm just going to quickly show you the different colors I'm going to do. Now this is a blue one, and I am going to mix white with it to get this really light kind of teal color. And I'm going to start creating some little pebbles that are this color. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. I want it to start filling in a little more so I don't have to, create as many stones in here. So this is my next color, and you can use whatever colors you want. I'm using the colors that I've used within this painting. Okay, this is a mix of the turquoise color and some white. This is open water and some white. And we're going to keep going until we've got everything filled in. Okay. I'm going to do some little kind of tannish colored ones with a little bit of burnt umber and a lot of white. That might be very close to that color, so let's add more burnt umber in there. Make these more brown. Not sure how much of a difference. More burnt umber. We'll make them extra brown. Okay, I just painted one there, so now I'm going to have to paint over that one. I'm going to have to make them even darker because maybe we just need to go straight burnt umber with just a tiny bit of white. Because I don't want all my stones to start looking the same color. Okay, we're just going to keep working our way around this, filling in with our colors. This one is mostly burnt umber. Okay, I am going to go back and do a second layer on these, but I just want to get you some colors that you can start with, and then you can just start filling in as you need to. Mix white with whatever color you want to use. I do have another kind of brownish color here. I don't know if I want to use it or not. You could do a few kind of pink tinted ones with your red. This is kind of a purpley brown, I feel like. I just feel like all my rocks are starting to become the same color here. I do need to put some gray ones in here too. So just kind of, just keep going with all your colors. Then just go back and add more of a certain color until you get it completely full. This is the Portobello color with a lot of white mixed into it. So you're just going to mix colors that you like. You can do some white ones in here as well. Until you have it filled up. Okay? Alright, and then you can do some gray ones here. So we'll take some black and some white and make some gray stones. And again, you're just working your way around. Okay, go back and do a second layer on each one. I very much recommend that you finish with one color before you start your next color, and I'm only doing this so that you can, you know, see where I'm going with this. And I am going to continue to add more and more in here till it's completely full of all the colors that I'm using here. Not sure which color that one was. Okay, so that's got us on a path. Starting, make your rocks all different shapes, not perfect circles. You know, these are all kinds of different rocks. And again, you can add some that are more white. I'm going to put some fresh white out here. You could also, well, that ultra blue deep would probably be too bright, but we could add a little black in with it. Tone it down. So we can take some white, a little bit of ultra blue deep, a little bit of black, little bit more ultra blue, a little bit more white, and we can make this kind of bluish gray stone. Remember, we don't want everything to be perfect. This is white with a little bit of ultra blue deep and a little bit of black. Continue all the way around till it is completely filled up. Okay. All right, I'm gonna go off camera and finish putting my rocks in here. And then we'll come back and see how we're gonna finish them out. Okay, I've completely filled my border out here with my pebbles, okay? And I used whatever colors I had in my palette. I did not use the red, but I did use the blues, the purples, the yellows, white, browns, and black. So varying colors. I mostly used white within each color, but this darker blue was a little bit of blue and black and white mixed in, so which made this kind of darker blue. So now there is a few spaces around our stones that aren't filled, and I think I'm going to mix some burnt umber and a little bit of black. We'll make it like a soft black color, and I'll just thin that down a little bit, and we'll go around where we still have some gaps. We need a little bit more black in there. Make it a darker brown. So just all these places where you can still see some of the background. We're just going to fill those places in. This will give some shadows, a little bit of depth to our project. I mean, we'll be shading along this outside edge, but we just want to make sure we don't have any bright white areas. That's a pretty big area right there. I could probably put another stone in right there, which I just might do, put a blue one. One of those dark blue ones on top of that, I think. This is like a soft black color here. If you want to get soft black out, you can. But we can mix it with what we have here. And that's a big area there. I think I'm going to have to put a stone in there. So I have to figure out what color I want to put there. And we need a couple more stones in here, it looks like. So I'm going to get a couple more stones painted in here, it looks like. over here. I need a couple over there, and then I'll be back. All right, so the most tedious part of this whole project will be to take that kind of soft black color that we mixed, or just straight burnt umber, either one. And we're going to try and separate some of these stones. Along this whole edge out here, it's going to be shaded. And I'm just using a small angle brush. And we'll go along. I'll have to get a bigger brush for this because that one is. What happened to my other angle brush I had out here, so I'll just go with this flat brush and we'll just work this around our outer edge. We've got to separate some of these stones. It's important. Go a quick little shading around it, and then we're going to take our 1/4 inch angle and start separating some of these. We'll come back and deepen shading. We'll shade inside here as well. Oops. Alrighty. Okay, let's separate some of these. Now we don't have to do them all, but some of them do need to be separated. So I'm going to use this 1/4 inch angle brush, which can be a little tricky. And I'll start creating some shadows in these. We'll do this until we get all the way around. So just start in one place and work your way around. And like I said, this will be the most tedious thing that we do. With this little brush. Hang in there. You'll be a floating pro by the time this one's done. If you miss some in here, not a big deal, okay? Try not to have too much paint, okay, or too much water in my brush, because it's such a small brush. I don't want to overload it. I do need a little bit of water. Gotta blend it in with that paint. It is not wanting to move at all. See how big of a difference that's making right there? Huge difference. Touch it back with my finger if I get it a little bit too dark. That one's really tucked back in there. Okay, I'm just going to go up to the tip here, showing you how to do it, and then I'm going to go off camera and finish. Okay, you don't have to get every single place. These are little stones. We're just kind of giving an illusion here, so don't feel like you have to, you know, work super hard at this, okay? We're just trying to get those stones lifted up. Okay, I'll do a few more here. Get a little mix of paint. If you can't tell which one's on top of the other one, just put a float in there and decide, because once you put it in there, that makes the decision. It's all done. All right, so I'm going to go off camera and finish shading on all of these, and then we'll come back and add some highlights. All right, so I've separated all of my stones, shaded to determine which one's on top, which one's on the bottom. So now we're going to highlight on them. And we're going to do this with white. Now I'm just going to show a few of these. The bright edge, we're just going to add a little pop of white, and try not to have a lot of water in your brush. If they really fade back in there, you can go back a second time. Okay, so this is going to start bringing the edge that is the lightest out forward. Okay, so whichever one is on top, whichever edge or piece of rock that you want to have a highlight on it. You can see this one could have a little bit on it. Okay, that's going to start separating them and pulling them out more forward. Okay, I've got my highlight on all of my stones. I'm going to go back and do a few and just brighten the highlight on a few of them. Not all of them. I'm just going to, it's just kind of a hit and miss around this. Some will be a little bit brighter. You determine. Okay, that was a lot of paint there. I think I've been all the way around the piece and brightened a few more. I think that looks pretty good. All right, so our next step is to shade inside here, and we're going to repeat our shading out here with that sheer float of mix of black and brown. Inside here, we're going to use that same mix and float inside. So I'm going to use my flat brush because my angle brush is somewhere, I don't know where. Let me get some fresh paint out. That would just be more helpful. Burnt umber and black. Okay, so let's get our shading. We're going to shade around the outside with that mix of brown and black. Probably 2 browns, 1 black. If it's not as dark as you would like, then add a little more black in there. This is a very sheer float of color. The same mix that we did earlier. We have water in our brush so that we can keep this nice soft color. Don't want it to overtake our painting. And all the way around. Okay, I think I've been all the way around. Now we're going to use the same color, and I really want to find my angle brush for this one. A little bit bigger than the 1/4 inch one that I had, so I'm going to look for my 3/8 inch angle. There it is. And we're going to take this same mix and mix inside, or shade inside. We're keeping this soft float here, sheer. Let's keep it sheer, and then we can always add and intensify, but you know, can't really take away. So we're going to go around our shape. Try not to get onto your stones if you can. Take your time. Okay. If you get it on your stones, just take that water edge and clean it up. You can come back and highlight if you get it on some of these. You can repeat that highlight. Okay, that's pretty dark. I do need it a little darker right in there because that's kind of a tucked in area. That's just a little dark, so I'll take my finger and touch that back, and I think that's looking pretty good. So let me get a little more moisture in my brush so I can thin that down just a little bit. I need just a touch more brown. Maybe not quite so much of that black in there, more of the burnt umber. Burnt umber is transparent, black is not, so just keep that in mind. And I'm thinning it down with some water to keep it transparent. so it doesn't overtake here and just completely, you know, take away from our beautiful painting we did here. I might just pick a couple of places on this to repeat this shading, but I think one time may be enough. I'll just have to, you know, give it a good look once I have it done. You can splatter on this if you would like to and create some textures on it that way. Soft floats, plenty of water in your brush. Not enough to make your paint completely just fade away, but enough that you can move it and you should be able to go quite a ways with just a little bit of paint in your brush because you've got that water. See one I forgot to shade on, that kind of bugs me a little bit there, so I'm going to get that shading on this one. And this too is where you can see as you go around if you missed a highlight or anything on anything, or a shading that you want to have a little bit better on a stone, or you missed a stone and get more moisture in my brush. And fresh paint is going to work best for you here, so make sure you got some fresh paint to paint around your stuff. Back to where we started. Got some on that stone. Let me clean that off. And again, I'm trying to tuck some in that place right there, and it's not wanting to tuck in. I think we made it back to our beginning here. I need to put a little bit of darkness back in there. Oh, that looks so good, you guys. So good. So I see a couple of places that I want to repeat this. Or, you know, intensify a little bit. I definitely want this darker down here because this is the most shadowed area right here. A little bit over here, kind of where the sandy stuff is. I could bring that out a little bit more. Okay, let's see. I think over here could be just a touch wider. Make sure your first float is dry. I'm just adding a little bit more on top of that one, making it a little bit wider. Okay, then I might come back in and highlight just a couple more of my stones, get them just a little bit brighter. Couple more highlights on here. One more bright little highlight. I'm going to use straight paint. I don't really want to have a lot of water in my brush. This will give you an opportunity to make sure if your shading got a little carried away, you can reshape some of your stones for a highlight. And this is really going to get it popping here. I think we've kind of worked our way back around to this side. Alright, let's take a look at it, see what we think. I think it looks pretty good. On my sand down here though, I want it to be just a scooch darker. Take a little bit of that burnt umber and a tiny bit of black. And darken this. Down here on my sand. This is where you can look at it and tell what needs to be done. A little bit more black in the mix because this needs to be a little darker down in here. And then I will come in and re-highlight a couple of those stones down there. And I think this one will be done. I think that looks pretty good. I love it. I love it, love it, love it. That turned out so cute, you guys. Oh my gosh, so cute. What a fun project. And it really wasn't, you know, it wasn't a difficult one. It had some tedious moments, but overall it turned out pretty cute. I happen to really love it. So I hope you've enjoyed this one. If you have, please give me a thumbs up, please subscribe, and please share. I appreciate you guys all so much, and I will see you on the next one, everybody. Bye-bye.